Recently, the far right has gone from labeling teachers as groomers to threatening doctors and hospitals that happen to offer gender affirming care for transgender youth, these same youth that are incredibly at risk. And so these hospitals, these medical facilities will offer healthcare that reduces suicidal ideation among this very vulnerable community that has come under, especially in the United States, intense legislative assault by right-wing culture warriors. In fact, recently, several children's hospitals who offer this care, most notably Boston Children's, have been the target of a far-right harassment campaign for months, led by, of course, anti-trans influencers, millions of collective followers, people like Matt Walsh, Shia Rychik of Libs of TikTok, many others who have spread just massive, disgusting disinformation about the hospital's gender-affirming treatment for minors. Now, the most recent target has been the Vanderbilt Medical Center in Tennessee. They ended up having to shut down their webpage for its transgender care center because Matt Walsh claimed that they would drug, chemically castrate, and mutilate minors. Now, of course, if that were true, well, that would be horrible. And of course, we would be against that, right? Now, it's a good thing that it's not true, because when he says, oh, they're drugging and they're chemically castrating children, that's an incredibly gross mischaracterization of what is, in reality, standard hormone therapy. By the way, hormone therapy has been used for a very long time in non-transgender people, or what we call cisgendered people. Now, a couple of examples of hormones, right, that are used by cisgendered people are birth controls. All right, birth control pills, those are hormonal. They're obviously taken to prevent pregnancy, but not just prevent pregnancy, by the way. There's other reasons that the women would take hormonal birth control pills. Sometimes it clears up acne. Sometimes it helps with things like endometriosis and other conditions. And so, by the way, hormones. Okay. And by the way, hormones will come with risks. Of course, there are risks of birth control pills, but there are also risks for another example, and that is testosterone. That is a hormone, which is, by the way, prescribed for many older men who, feel like they need to get a bit of their edge back, a little bit of their energy, a little bit of their libido. I mean, and you of course, see all these commercials. Men, do you have low T? Well, we've got some tea for you. Testosterone. Here's some hormones. Okay, so again, cisgender people taking hormones. There's nothing nefarious about hormone treatments. Now, of course, I'm sure detractors will point out, yeah, but we're talking about this when it comes to children, right? Now, here's the thing. So what Matt Walsh talks about is prepubescent children. Nobody's giving hormones to prepubescent children. Now, are there situations where teenagers who identify as transgender are given hormones, and specifically puberty blockers? Yes, that is the case. That is part of gender affirming care. So now that's the thing. Puberty blockers have also been used for cisgendered people for decades that face certain medical issues. And there was actually very little controversy when these, hormones and medications were used for cisgendered people. And so that's really the big issue here. Okay. Look, when it comes to hormones, they can be reversed. Hormone treatments can be reversed. Puberty blockers can be stopped, and then normal puberty can, resume. And again, those puberty blockers are only recommended for use up till, I think, the age of 16, I believe. And so they're only suggested to be used for just a couple of years to give people the chance to figure out if they're going to continue transition or not. Okay, so there you go. Now, that said, as far as body modification surgeries that are cosmetic, or even genital reconstruction surgeries, those are not given to minors. And by the way, nobody supports that. In fact, according to guidelines for the medical care of transgender patients developed by the Endocrine Society and the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, genital reassignment surgery is reserved and should continue to be reserved for those who are 18 or older. Okay? So, according to C.P. Hoffman, Senior Policy Counsel for the National Center for Transgender Equality, he told PolitiFact that, quote, even when a minor has parental support for their transition-related surgeries are not typically performed prior to the age of 18. So, yeah. And by the way, they acknowledge that while there are some reports that of transgender teens between the ages of 16 and 18 receiving transition-related surgical care, these cases are exceedingly rare and based on the specific medical needs of the teen. So there you go. We acknowledge that. So that said, no prepubescent children are being surgically altered. If somebody's telling you that, they're repeating lies. Lies that have been spread by bad faith actors who want you to hate transgender people specifically. So now, sadly, of course, there's a lot of people, even I would say a lot of good intentioned people who are unaware of all the nuances of what's going on with the transgender community and the things that they face that have fallen to for these lies. And as a result, there are subsets of people that have sent death threats, bomb threats to doctors and staff at these hospitals. Those are not good intentioned people. Those are bad intentioned people. Which, of course, brings me to Tim Pool, where he talked a little bit about some of these threats that, again, directed by people like Matt Walsh and Libs of TikTok. He's going to, in this next clip, give them cover.
Is that their parents allegedly consent to it. Some online critics claimed that Walsh's accusations were going to get people hurt or even killed. Okay, that's absurd. Calling out something in the media, you can't be responsible for the violence that ensues from it.
Hey, man, look, you can't blame someone for calling something out in the media or any violence that ensues. That's just not fair. Okay, Tim, if that's your position, that's totally fine. You can have that position. But is it your position?
Even to that regard, with Joe Biden calling Republicans extremists, and then a couple of weeks later, someone coming out and running over a kid, I don't blame Joe Biden for having an opinion. A teenager in North Dakota was leaving a street dance party. He noticed someone was following him. A 41-year-old man named Shannon Brandt rammed him with his vehicle, running him over and killing him. He admitted to police the reason he did it was because the teenager was part of a Republican extremist group. Sound familiar? Sound familiar at all? Why, it was only a couple of weeks ago that Joe Biden came out and said Maggie extremists are a threat to our democracy. And so here we are, out, and says American vets are under assault by Trump-led extremism. Don't be surprised when his stochastic terrorism, as they call it, results in a dead kid. A teenager who supports you was murdered. There should be bills being introduced called the Kaler-Ellingson Act. There should be inquiries and there should be, Joe Biden should be impeached for this. There should be articles of impeachment introduced right now because the words of Joe Biden himself has resulted in this.
Well, wait. I thought you can't blame someone for calling something out that has happened in the media for any violence that ensues. Because it's not fair. Tim Pool. That's hypocrisy right there. So again, let me get this straight. Matt Walsh and others who claim that children are being drugged, mutilated by doctors en masse at these hospitals, right? Even though it's not true, should not be blamed, right, for the flood of bomb and death threats that have been sent toward those doctors and hospitals because of their reporting. But Joe Biden should be impeached because he once said MAGA Republicans are dangerous. Okay. And by the way, because some, drunken moron did something absolutely horrible and unconscionable, and by the way, should be punished to the full extent of the law for doing so, because he murdered an innocent teen. That's a horrific story. That doesn't mean that Joe Biden didn't say something that was true. He did. There are MAGA Republicans that are a danger to our democracy. Again, we're talking about the people who stormed the Capitol building. We're talking about the people who tried to install fake electors. These are the people that also beat up police officers and chanted about how they wanted to murder the vice president at the time. And by the way, I've talked about how Biden was too soft. Biden didn't say all Republicans. No, he loves conservative Republicans. He thinks the Republican Party is great. He just thinks that the party has lost its way. It has been taken over by a small minority of extremists, but in reality, he's wrong. Most of the party is the extremists now. You have the majority of Republican voters that believe that Biden stole the election. You have 40% of Republicans that think that violence against the government is justified. You have 61% of Republicans that wanted the U.S. to be declared a Christian nation, even though the majority of that, 57%, say that or admit that they know it would be unconstitutional to do that, but they want it anyway. They said, we don't care about the Constitution. Sorry. We don't care. We want our Christian mullahs. That's it. That is deeply un-American. That is against the Constitution. That is against the First Amendment, to which they claim to be in such favor of. Oh, no, what do you mean? I believe in the First Amendment. Which part? No, the only part of the First Amendment that you like is, for one, something that you completely misunderstand. The real free speech that you're always talking about is, I just want to say racist things and not get in trouble for it on social media. That's it. I just want to type the N-word all day onto social media sites and not get kicked off. That has nothing to do with free speech. Again, they don't care. They want to establish Christianity as the dominant religion of this country. And so, yes, they have consistently attacked our form of government for decades. And at this point in time, right-wing extremist groups have done more terror attacks on American soil than any other group. It's not even close. It's not even close. So the absolute hypocrisy here, right? For example, Tim Pool saying, oh, no, we should hold Biden accountable for actually saying something true, but you can't hold Matt Walsh accountable for putting out nonsense conspiracy theories and lies that are getting people threatened. No, it's not even close. No surprise that Tim Pool is a complete and utter hypocrite. But hey, that's what they have. That's what they have on the right wing. And I know, Tim Pool is not a right winger. Yeah, he is. You only have to look at the things that he says, the things that he believes in, or professes to believe in, to see exactly what he really is.